that. Oh, let me see. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the second episode of Conversations with My. I am Mai Burnett. Some of you know me as My Zub. And last week we had our first guest, and it was really amazing. And thank you for joining us. It was excellent. So I'm really excited about today because this is another one of my favorite people. No, seriously. So we have Amadu Massally here today, and I am going to do a quick intro because like Amadu has like 3 pages of like bio. It was like so hard to try to like narrow it down. So I'm going to do a quick intro, and then this throughout the conversation, he will talk about all of the whatever he wants to talk about, mostly the Gullah Geechee, work he's doing to connect, folks in the diaspora to Sierra Leone. So I will get started. And so the way we do this show is for you who are the newcomers, right? We are going to be having a discussion, and then you can actually put up your comments, and I'll pause here and there, and then to ask whichever questions you have. Thank you. I know y'all see my new setup. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I got my new lighting. Okay, let's go. So Amadou is a visionary bridge builder and what we call a true man of two worlds. He was born in Sierra Leone and spent over 25 years building a successful career as a CPA in corporate America. With Fortune 500 companies like American Express, Price Waterhouse Coopers. So he left the corporate world to follow his passion, which is what we're going to be talking about a lot today. And that passion is reconnecting the African diaspora to their ancestral home. As the CEO and co-founder of Famboutique, his work has had a profound impact, particularly with the Gullah Geechee people of the United States. In 2019, he organized a landmark trip where he held the largest ever group of Gullah Geechee descendants back to Sierra Leone, which was, this historic journey was actually captured in a documentary film called Gullah Roots. So he is, he's an acclaimed historian, cultural ambassador, and he's really dedicated to connecting, the diaspora in Sierra Leone. So you are welcome, Amadu. Woo! I need to get some drums in here. Amadu Massally. Amadu, welcome to the show, and thank you again for being our second guest. I really appreciate you. Do you have any opening remarks before we, get going with questions?
I want to say good evening, family, or good morning, wherever you may be. Good afternoon. So we're here to talk about some deep stuff this afternoon, and I'm excited to be here with Mai. So we look forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you. We are going to get started. Again, you can post your comments if you have any. So the first question that I have for you, Amadou, is when did you first feel called into the Gullah Geechee story? And what convinced you it was your path to tell this story?
Well, I had no idea that I was on a path, in fact, to tell this story. The question of when I felt called to this work, to chronicle this extraordinary journey of the Gullah Geechee people, is a complex one in the sense that I didn't choose the Gullah Geechee story. It chose me. And what I mean by that is that my journey into this world was guided at every step of the way, so to speak, by unseen hands. I talk a lot about ancestry and reverence, and sometimes I feel like they guide us. And this is one time when I strongly feel that coming into this work, I was guided into it based on how it all, evolved. If you want to, I can expand on that some more, but I think this.
Absolutely. Listen, absolutely. This is, a conversation where we want to learn as much as possible, and I want you to feel comfortable and you share as much as you want to share. So if you want to expand on that, that's fine.
I do, and I'll be quick, brief.
Mhm.
So we had watched a film called African American Lives, or a preview of such a film that was being put out by Skip Gates. We drove from DC, about four of us, five of us, to Orangeburg, South Carolina, and we saw the film. And I was moved by the film, especially when I realized that Mae Jemison, female astronaut, has ancestry to Sierra Leone. Because I was always fond of her being an astronaut and a black lady, and then I found out that she has links to my country. So it touched me a bit. And to make a long story short here, the next day we were on a trip going towards Hilton Head from Orangeburg. We should have been going back to Washington, D.C., but because of the discussions that transpired after we watched the film, we drove to Hilton Head Island the next day, where we met Emery Campbell for the first time. He's the first Gullah Geechee man that I met consciously. Tall, dark skin, looks just like someone I left in Senegal or the Gambia. So we went on a tour. The reason why we met him at an intersection, I didn't get into that, but we had met him at an intersection because we got there a little late, we were operating on Sierra Leonean Standard Time. So we missed the bus, but we met Emery at a particular intersection and he flagged down his brother. We got on their tour bus. Whilst on that bus, we went to a couple of private beaches where the Atlantic, was right there. So I hadn't gone home for about 26 years at this point since I left here. And something came over me that day when I felt that ocean. I felt a pull, and it's hard to describe. But to me, that was a pivot moment. I felt like swimming back home to Sierra Leone after 20 odd years in the United States.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I did want to take a step back and for those who are not familiar with the Gullah Geechee people, and am I saying it right? I was talking to one of my Black American friends, and I feel like she pronounced it differently, Gullah or something, and I'm always be saying Gullah. So
we say Gullah in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone say
okay,
Gullah.
that's what it is. Okay. So yeah, so can you kind of just let the audience know who are these people? And any backstory you can give us. I know you mentioned Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Right.
I believe that a lot of them settled there. But can you just quickly give us a backstory for those who don't understand?
So these people are the most unique of Africans in the diaspora I have been around. And what do I mean by that? Is that they are less fractured. They have kept more of their African ways and culture, history. A lot of things African you can find within these resilient Gullah Geechees. Now, this is not to say there are not amazing and resilient Africans in the diaspora, all over, for that matter, in the Americas. I've been to the Caribbean several places, and there are such strong people there too.
Yeah.
What's different about the Gullah Geechees, though, is that they were isolated on these plantations. First of all, there was geographic isolation, and then there was the mosquito, right? Malaria and yellow fever created that space for them because during planting time, plantation owners, who were mainly Caucasians or white people, couldn't stay or risk getting sick or dying even. So many times, or most times, every planting season, they will move away, creating this space for the Gullah Geechees. But what I found out in my research during my for these books that we're going to be talking about is that another factor that may change the way we look at this whole thing is that these people that ended up becoming Gullah Geechees were taken mainly, well, not mainly, but primarily from rice-growing countries in Africa along the West Coast. Now, there are some from Congo, Angola, Nigeria, Ghana, yes. But the focus of plantation owners were Africans that had rice-growing skills. So from Senegal to Liberia, it's known as rice coast. That's how plantation owners saw as a rice coast. We didn't have these countries delineated as they are now. that happened in the 1880s. I'm talking 1600s, 1700s at this time. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
when these people came from these different countries now, or regions in Africa, it was called the Rice Coast region,
Mm-hmm.
back to, and they convened in the Low Country, South Carolina. That's where they started. And then 60 years later, they started going into Georgia. But in South Carolina, what happened and what the plantation owners didn't know, and this is remarkable what I'm about to tell you, is that
Wow.
these people that were along the coast from Senegal all the way down to Liberia with Sierra Leone, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau in the middle, um, came from Mali. A majority of them had
Okay.
come from one empire. Hundreds of years of successful empires in the Mali
Oh,
Empire. You've heard about Mansa Musa and all of that.
yes, yes.
This is where they came from. So something happened in the 15th century in the Mali Empire. So people dispersed and they came down towards the coast.
Hmm.
These people in Mali were expert rice growers, cultivators. They've been growing rice since 3500 BC. So when they came to the coast, they made sure they stayed mainly around where rice could grow. And it is in these areas that you will find Sierra Leone today, for example, or Guinea. But the point I'm trying to make in a nutshell is that these people were one for the most part. When they came to Sierra Leone and these other countries, modern day countries, they met people there. There were others there. For example, in Sierra Leone, you had the Limba people there, you had the Bulong people along the coast, and the Temenis were already in Sierra Leone when the Mani
Yes.
invasions happened. But when they came, they assimilated and they transformed Sierra Leone like we've never seen it. So the point I'm trying to make is that Gullah Geechees have kept the most of their Africanness, but they are less fractured because of this theory I just told you, or hypothesis, until
Yeah.
someone proves it wrong. Yeah.
First of all, let me take a step back and say I am blown away by this information, this knowledge. I mean, I've known you for a while, and I've followed you. So I kind of understood, but honestly, I didn't really understand. Right? There's a lot that I don't understand, and I think this is so important for especially the young folks. I'm not young anymore, but I came here when I was 9, and my mom tried. She did try to tell me some stories and some history and about slavery and all that when I was younger, because I was just always asking questions.
Yeah.
But I really think what you're doing is so important, and that's why I brought you on. But as you're talking, I'm just blown away. Like, wow, like people need to know this. We need to know this. So thank you. We will move on. I'm just, I get excited. I love
Yeah.
to learn. So thank you. So the second question I'm going to ask is, so you've said that the ancestors are no longer whispering; they're calling. What does that mean? What does that sound like? What's the sound? What do you mean? Like, they're calling us.
Yeah, well, basically, what I'm saying in my books, at least, the ancestors are not whispering because we are going to be talking about some deep stuff. I just told you one already about why the Gullah Geechees are like who they are, Mali
Yeah.
to the Low Country, and you don't find that in the Americas, specific place. So. But there are many other things. When I talk about the hush, when ancestors are whispering, it's like a call to this sacred work, and it doesn't sound like noise or chaos. I mean, it's more like the hush before a drum beat. The hush itself is that silence that you hold in when you can't speak out. Does that make sense? When when you're angry, you can't really speak, but you feel that whatever you feel. Well, that's what we refer to as the hush.
So
It's the sacred silence.
wow. So
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I totally get it. And I'm a very deep person. Everyone knows that. And I know one of the things that I've always felt, especially as it pertains to Sierra Leone, which is why even when I sometimes get mad and I'm like, I'm not doing anything, I'm just drawn. There's something that draws me, and I can't describe it, but it's inside, it's quiet. It's even doing this, right? A lot of
Yeah.
it is to promote my people, right? And even
Exactly.
being the bridge with the book that I write, there's a certain responsibility inside of me, and literally sometimes it keeps me up at night, right? It's like you have to give back. So I
Yeah.
totally understand what you mean by that. And so I am going to ask you the next question. And I have to just plug in my computer while I'm asking that. Apologies. So, how did your background from Sierra Leone shape your connection to the Gullah Geechee communities in the Carolinas?
Hmm. Well, my identity as a Sierra Leonean provides, I believe, a unique and essential through Africanized perspective for this saga. It allows me to delve deeper, travel farther, and connect more boldly because I feel like, I feel some kind of responsibility to do this work. And I'll tell you quickly what one such responsibility. In the Gullah language, according to linguists, there are about 4,000 African words in the Gullah language. Of those 4,000 words, 25% or 1,000 are from our country, Sierra Leone. So that alone um, makes me feel responsible to keep it going for another 250 years. Yeah. So my identity as a Sierra Leonean gives me that sense of responsibility. And I think my Gullah Geechee family, people know them. I don't come to this work as a researcher or I'm keen. I have sat down with many times over. I'm treated like family with some of these people who own these stories, like Tomalin Martin Polite and her family, for example.
Mm.
We like kin. We talk on the phone with Wilson Moran. I go to his house and cook okra soup at his stove. Wilson Moran he comes from the family that has kept a Minde song, the longest text in an African language, preserved in this
Wow.
country. This is not by coincidence.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
For a long time, sorry to cut you off,
go ahead.
and I'm sure I've mentioned this to you. I've been saying I need to go down there. I need to go down there.
How are we going to go after this?
No, I have to. I was telling my African American friend and business partner Chantel the other day. She traced her ancestry to Sierra Leone, and she went last year with one of her friends. And I was telling her about you and you coming on, and I was like, hey, you know what? You and I need to go. You know,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I definitely need to go. And I've also made some friends on Instagram, which this is why I love social media. Some Gullah Geechee chefs with one of them, Chef Dennis. He's really big, so
That's
we
my
chat
buddy, by
on.
the way.
Yeah, so I mean that's something that I'm definitely gonna plan in the near future, and maybe you can come with us. As those are your people.
So now that you mentioned Chef BJ Dennis, I'm not sure if our friend from the UK is watching, but I've tried to put them together uh,
She
to
is
do.
Renata.
No, not Renata. Not
Renata, okay,
Renata.
okay.
Renata needs to, of
No,
course.
no,
I've promised her that I need to bring her into my
you
Gola
know what?
Geechee world.
I forgot
Also, I
she's
told
in
her.
Europe. She's in Italy. My bad. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Renata, yeah, we need to talk about that. But let me make this point clear before we move away from it, okay? With regards to being Sierra Leonean and how does that shape what we do here. So I'm from the other side of the bridge or the ocean, Sierra Leone. It's being one of the primary well springs of Gullah Geechee culture from the Rice Coast. It provides a vantage point. So these two stories that I just mentioned about Tomalin Polite, whose 10-year-old great grandmother was taken from Bonds Island, Sierra Leone in 1756. It's the only such story in the world to date. Not to say there won't be others in the future, but as of right now, this is an unbroken chain. We have an unbroken chain of evidence that takes a 10-year-old girl from Bonds Island, Sierra Leone, to Charleston, and they're
That's
still
amazing.
here. They're still here. So my role is not to enter the Gullah story itself, but I see it as a means of trying to complete it. So my work and mission at Farm Boutique is dedicated to or are dedicated to repair and remember. I didn't say remember. I put a remember in front of that because it's like remembering squared. All right, and that's buried more in those people from Mali spreading along the rice coast. When they came here, they remembered who they were, their language, the way they eat, the way they pray. You see what I'm saying? So
I'm getting chills. I swear to God, like
we strive to turn the forced
it's
scattering
great.
by empire caused by the transatlantic slave trade into deliberate and strategic rerouting. And when I say rerouting, doesn't mean I have to uproot people from here to take them back to Sierra Leone or Guinea or Senegal. Not necessarily, but
Hmm.
that awareness, you know,
Yeah.
that awareness. But let's carry on.
Yeah, but quickly. And hi Renata, hi CJ. Renata is in Brussels, y'all. I was mixing it up. So so she's an amazing chef. One of my big sis. So so you might do this, but I'm not sure. Do you do like trips with Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora that want to go down? Like I said, I want to go.
Yeah.
Do
Oh, you
you
mean
do
to the low
or
country?
to
Yes, we've done
yeah.
that. We've done that in the past. But
Okay. I would
I want
love to
Sierra
do
Leoneans to
that.
do it on their own now. To you take it up with your bunch of friends and just go do it. It's there now. The map is there. It's just for us to implement. But I don't
Okay.
mind. Yeah, we've
You
done that in the past, taking people down to the low country since 2006. It said that's when I got hooked from
Okay, yeah, I thought I saw. Yeah, I thought I saw you do that, but you're not doing that anymore. That's fine though. But you've already like laid everything out, built the foundation for us now to go ahead
Yeah,
and
I'm
do our
hooking
own
Sierra
research.
Leonean children in the diaspora like you. You were here at age 9.
Yeah,
There's some who were born here, and you connect back to your continent. I mean, and your country.
yeah,
You do that. But there are many other Sierra Leonean, our children, who we need to really get grounded
absolutely,
back to. Yeah, so we don't lose
absolutely.
them forever.
Okay,
you know.
yes. So thank you. So I'm just gonna go through a little bit of the comments. So Almami Razak Sirewui said in Sierra Leone they say the saying goes "Fa boutique don't bend, not a broke, right? Not
Mhm.
broke." Okay. So yeah. So we're gonna continue. Now we're gonna talk about like uh your the way you see Africa, right? Like how you see Africa through your eyes, right? So in your book reframes Gullah Geechee history, as beginning in brilliance, not bondage.
Oh,
Why was that reframing essential to you?
it's important because we must begin by asserting a fundamental truth. The story didn't begin in bondage, it began in brilliance. I just mentioned Mali, Empire. I mean, there was everything there. So, too often, the saga of African Americans in general, beyond just Gullah Geechees, who are also African Americans, begins with chains and ledgers, sheepholes, reducing a flourishing civilization to a moment of rupture. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, seen through African eyes, my eyes, the Gullah Geechee narrative is founded on creation, not victimhood. Creation. So when I say what I see through Africans in these books, we're going to be telling some stories that have not been heard before or seen. Not to brag, but I'm just telling you as it is.
You can brag on my show.
But I mean, there are some remarkable things. For example, I'll just throw this out there very quickly. And I've shared it before publicly already. The concept of Usnim, like my wife, her name is Arabella Jackson in public. She has an Usnim, Olainka.
Yeah.
There are many, many Sierra Leoneans who are like that.
Mhm.
But that concept, you would think because they have Nigerian names, originated from Nigeria. But no, it didn't. It was taken back by Gullah Geechees, who returned to Sierra Leone in 1792. And here's
What?
why. Yes. In bondage on these plantations in South Carolina and Georgia, when these Africans would give birth to their children, they would whisper an African name in their ears. That tradition continued on. So they would be called
Mm.
John, Amadu, Williams, for example. We don't use
Mm-hmm.
Amadu in public. We only use it within kin. Just like the host name in Sierra Leone, my wife wasn't called Olanka at school or church. She was Arabella. What I'm saying to you,
Oh.
that practice was taken there by these African Americans, well, Africans in America, because by 1792, I don't know if I could call them African Americans, but these
Mm-hmm.
Africans in America who returned, they brought.
Okay.
That's just one thing. I have a few more like those, but I can't tell you all of our
Wait,
group.
no, because wait, now I'm confused because
Okay.
my dad's side, we have Yoruba ancestry,
Yes.
and we all have Yoruba names. So my Yoruba name is Olaye.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's just my middle name. I don't yeah, I never really used it, but I just
Yeah.
thought that was because of that. So you're saying that came from
The
the
one,
Gullah.
yes, and in fact, there are some Creoles who don't have host names, middle names, and my
Mhm.
guess is that those without those middle names do not necessarily originate from the Gullah Geechees, because that
Okay.
middle name host name was the Gullah Geechee practice. Now, those Nova Scotians, so as we call them, that went back in 1792, were not all Gullah Geechees. Some of them were. They say about 20 to 25% were Gullah Geechees. I think I mean, the number is higher. I really believe so, based upon what I've seen. But anyway,
Hmm.
25% of those people were Gullah Geechees, and 75% may have been from Virginia, for example. The mayor of Freetown, her ancestry comes from one descendant that left Virginia to Nova Scotia to Sierra Leone. Mayor
Oh,
Akisola,
wow.
if you're watching, I remember that story. Yeah, she.
Wow. I'm
We
so
have
fascinated.
these are living archives. This is not.
That's the thing. Like a lot of us don't know that though, right? Like this is so great. Like, okay. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm really
You
blown
can.
away.
So that we talk about why we reframe the story. So the point is, before the auction block here in Charleston or in Savannah, Georgia, the Gullah ancestors were
Sorry.
engineers. They were
Sorry.
builders.
Sorry. I have to interrupt you because
All right.
I'm a consultant,
Oh,
so
the auction block.
what is the auction block? Let's
That's,
understand, for us
yes.
that don't understand.
And sometimes I talk as if you are in my head. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're excited. You're passionate. This is what, no, this
The
is good.
auction block is where we are put up for sale. They will
Mhm.
put up an African up on a block or pedestal for sale
Hmm.
as a commodity or like a commodity. We were commodified as human beings, and I talk about that deeply in the books, especially Diaspora, Scavenger, where I talk about what empire did. I've seen letters. I'll tell you one because it's touching. I've seen a letter from Richard Oswald, who owned Bonds Island at its most profitable time from 1748 to about 1784. He shipped out almost 30,000 Africans during that time from Bonds Island. And this is the same guy, by the way, who went and sat down and signed the Treaty of Paris for the Brits. He was Scottish, but he went to France to sign on the behalf of the British to say, America, get your independence. This is the same guy that was running our people. So we'll get to that. But the point I want to make is that these guys, they were targeted. In one letter, he talked about rum. The same rum that was being made in Carriacou and Grenada was taken back to Liverpool. And from Liverpool or Manchester, it went back to Sierra Leone to do what? To build Bonds Island and to buy more Africans with rum. So anyway, these are the kinds of stories that we encounter when you read
This
these.
is great. This is great. So Leonardo Coleman in the comments said, "I'm loving this conversation on the eve of my first visit to Sierra Leone, which begins Thursday the 17th."
That's right.
Well, thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful trip. And Aminata Radia Sai, I think I said it right. She said, "Well done, Amadou. Yeah, this is
Thank
excellent.
you.
My
Thank
God."
you.
Okay, so let me get to the next question. How do
Okay.
you balance scholarship, storytelling, and ancestral witness in the Gullah Geechee saga?
Oh man. So in
Mhm.
my work, There's reverence. I'm not a scholar. I'm not one of those kind of guys, right? I'm a grassroots kind of Sierra Leonean who has interest in this country, and I've done this research. So I'm a grassroots kind of guy, and I believe that my work, there's reverence in it. I feel like I'm guided by ancestors. I pour libation. They know me as libation man in Gullah Geechee country. In fact, I've poured libation so many times. I was awarded the first libation box, a handmade libation box ever made by the Gullah Geechees and gifted. I received that from the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce in Georgetown, South Carolina. And, so these little bitty things show their appreciation from the people themselves who we try to speak for. So, yeah.
Wow. Great,
I can go
great.
on and on.
I know this stuff is like so interesting. Wow. Okay, so to the next question, what does it mean to tell history through African eyes, right? In a publishing world that often privileges other perspectives. What's the value in telling our own stories, which I'm seeing a lot more of.
Yes, and that's an important question. What does it mean to tell it through African eyes? It's a deliberate act of historical sovereignty. I've already said we didn't begin in bondage. We were there. We didn't need anyone to help us to do what we needed to do as a people in Africa. We were there and we were thriving. So we must fundamentally shift from victimhood to vision. And this perspective insists that African people were not blank slates. We didn't come here as fools. We were heirs of empires. And the world needs to know that. We're also carriers of sophisticated cultures where survival was an act of profound resistance. When you talk about the Mane invasions in Sierra Leone, to me, I see it as a rehearsal for Gullah Geechee resistance. So it's like, hey, we've been there, done that back home. So what is this? There was a lot of suffering, don't get me wrong. But people resisted like I've never seen anywhere else. This kind of resist. Like today, up to today, they have a language.
Wow.
They have kept their Africanness. It's, so it's from being, and I tell Gullah Geechee, my Gullah Geechee friends this. I say, I don't speak about the Gullah Geechees in these books. I speak for them. And I don't separate myself from them. We are one. And they know it. So
absolutely,
from being the subject of history to being an author of it, we reclaim our spaces because they are. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So another backup, right? So can you tell us just a little bit about their language? Because I've heard about it too, and I just think it's interesting because I've heard people say it's like similar to a dialect in Sierra Leone. I don't know if they say Mende dialect. I don't know, but like, tell us
it's Creole. It's Creole.
Creole, okay.
More similar to it's a Creole language, and guys like Hancock, Lorenzo Turner, they've delved in this deeply. But it's a language. For example, if the Gullah, if I want to speak Gullah for say, I will not do. This is how I would say it. I will not do.
Okay.
You understand? So it's very similar. When I picked up the Gullah Bible at Emery Campbell's house in 2006, I was able to read it. I was a little slow because I've never seen Gullah before at that time, but I was able to read it and understand it. Partly maybe because it was the Bible, but I mean, if the Bible is written in Chinese, I wouldn't be able to. I was able to read this Gullah language. I was able to read this Gullah language, and I'm going to tell the secret here now. By this Christmas, we will have a Gullah language manual by Christmas time. We don't have one today. We don't have a formal Gullah Geechee language manual, and we've tried. I mean, we've tried, but by this December, you will get one as a Christmas gift. Yes. So did I finish answering your question fully?
I think you did. I think you did. So let's go to the audience. We have some great comments in here. I'm just really enjoying this. Thank you so much. Okay, so Renata says, bravo, brother Amadu. Leonardo says, from subject to author, so empowering. Thanks for that. Look at you. Yeah, I knew you'd be a hit. But so Aminata says, we had guides and scholars, mathematicians, and those who closely studied human patterns and behavior. Thank you for that. And Almami said, one, Gullahs and Sierra Leone share shuku blair baskets. One, okay, and then
Shukublai.
two, shuku blai. Sorry, you guys, correct me. I'm trying. Shuku blai baskets, and then two, great knowing 1,000 words. So live in Gullah language that ties to Sierra Leone. Thank you. So he's someone that's gonna come on. He's another historian. Almami knows everything. Like
Mhm.
he will literally tell me stuff about my family and the connections, and I'm just like always so happy for him to engage with me. So thank you. Okay.
I
So
want to say something quickly with regard to Leonardo, because Leonardo, I just met him actually today. He was introduced by Andrea Dunlap. Some of you know Andrea. Sorry to put you out there like that, Leonardo. It's all part of the, and he's going to Sierra Leone. So I told him to come and watch this show and see what he thinks. So hopefully after this talk, we'll get together and share some ideas with regard to what he can do when he's in Sierra Leone. And of course, Aminata, thank you. I appreciate it. She's the writer. I try to emulate at Aminata.
Yes, excellent, excellent.
Yes.
She really is. Wow, so great. So we're gonna move on. So you've traveled between Sierra Leone and Low Country for years. What moments stand out as proof that what you call reassembly? Oh my gosh, sorry, is real.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, my first Gullah Geechee act, I think, was profound. It was a libation I did in Providence, Rhode Island. So it was my first time meeting Tomalin Martin Polite. I call her Joy sometimes. It was my first time meeting her. And we really didn't talk much, but I poured libation with her at my side in 2006, it was, in Rhode Island, where the ship left from to go and steal her 10-year-old great, I always have to count my fingers,
Oh
grandmother,
my.
7 generations. So we went there and poured libation together. I was also at Tomalin's mom's funeral. So that was another poignant moment for me. Well, I mean, there are two sides to it. So that's more the remembering. I was at Mary Morant's funeral. Now I had to go there. I think I was the only Sierra Leonean there. But see, these people to me are like African royalty in America. Wilson Morant's mom, she lived to be 100. She
Wow.
passed not too long ago. So we went for a funeral down there in Harris Neck or Townsend, Georgia. But she kept a song, the longest text in an African language ever, up to date, 5 lines long, a funeral dirge. So meeting Mary Moran was another oomph moment for me, May her
That's
soul rest.
amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
God, you are so blessed. I mean, this is such like a privilege. You know what I'm saying? For you
I
to
understand. Yeah, I don't know how it happened either, right? I mean, I didn't come out. I mean, I didn't start wanting to write a book. I was just doing something I feel in my bita, as we say in Sierra
it's a
Leone.
blessing. It's a blessing. Because this is really important work. And you're educating folks. So
Yeah,
this is excellent.
but
Okay.
you know what I
Wow.
want? But and we'll talk about this later. How do we get the younger generation, our children, in this thing? They need to first of all know about their country, and they need to know also the great things there are people from Sierra Leone and other places have done in this country. We need to claim the space. We're not
Yeah.
hurting anyone. We're just telling our stories.
So this is good. So that's part of my mission, right? Like
Yes.
I want, that's always been my mission. Once I came on social media, I said, okay, I need to show myself, all of myself,
Mhm.
the good, the bad, whatever, right? And I need to show younger folks that it's okay, one, to be myself, but also I know that, when I know what it means when you see someone that looks like you, or is from where you're from, you know, they're doing well. It has an impact, right? I always say I was a C student most of my life. I'm dyslexic. I struggled through school, but I saw my mom from when I was born a successful lawyer, and I always said I'm going to be a lawyer. I always saw success, so I don't care what. I told you I was in here by myself setting up all this stuff. I
That's
don't care
right.
what me, like, I see success because of my environment. So it is important for our young folks to see success, you know. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. But we do need to do more. But there is something that I do want to share that my cousin, some of my cousins are doing. My cousin Mara Majalo, Ramatu Bangura, you know, they're and what's her name, Dr. Nadia Sasso. So they're doing something called the Sarah. I'm going to be promoting it.
Hmm.
It's on, yes, and it's exactly what you're talking about. I'm so proud of them for this. So it's on October 19th. I'm going to be promoting it, but the Sarah really is for the young folks to come, and the older folks too, I believe, and come and tell stories and pass on stories, and think about how we're going to capture our history, our
Hmm.
stories, right? Like I said, my mom used to tell me stories again because I just was always in the kitchen with her and asking her a million questions about life. That's so that was our thing. So I have stuff, right? But like I still don't know a lot, and a lot of us don't know a lot. So what they're doing really is to you know, let me just read this really quickly. We're doing it again and bring it together, tribes, generations, and continents to celebrate community and pass on the legacy of who we are. So, you know, so I will share more with you, but you're someone that I think, you know, they should actually, you know, connect with because this is great work. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Sure.
Thank
Sure.
you. Just wanted to share that. Oh, we have a lot of comments. This is so great. Hi, Asi, my big sister in London. Okay, so Griffin Lotson said, Honorable Amadou, tell us a little bit. You're so modest. I mean, you're like amazing, and you're like the most modest person ever. Honorable Amadou, tell us a little bit about your upcoming speaking engagements and your presidential award coming up soon from Mayor Pro Tem Griffin Luxon, CEO of
Yes.
Darien,
Yeah.
Georgia. Thank you for joining us, Mayor Pro Tem.
He's putting me
Go
on the
ahead.
spot. You know, I'm a shy guy. Okay. So the mayor, Lieutenant Griffin Lotson, is as Gullah as ever. He's been to Sierra Leone a few times, and he does the ring shouts. That's another. I mean, I'll talk about that later, but that's another thing we need to know more of. It's linked to Sierra Leone. But anyway, he's giving me. I mean, they've given me a national service award for my work in the Gullah Geechee space, and that's what he's talking about. He wanted to make
Oh,
sure that
that's
it comes.
well deserved.
It
Well
comes.
deserved.
And
Congratulations.
I'll be speaking on Saturday at this one event called a Convening of Heirs. So imagine, you know, a guy from Sierra Leone going to the heart of Gullah Geechee culture, and we're going to go talk about heirloom, inheritance.
That's
Yeah, it's
that's
exciting.
amazing.
Be on
So yeah,
Saturday.
so I know you're a shy guy, and you know you don't like to talk about yourself. So quick story, I didn't know this book, his new book existed, and Amadou, like I said, Amadou is my guy. When I go to Dallas, I go and I make sure I visit them. So Yinkai is my aunt. Her mom and my grandmother were best friends.
Right.
So you know, so it's family. His wife. So anyway, so I didn't know, and I went to the Creole descendants event, and I saw you had a new book and all that, and I'm like, what? Like, you know me, I'm just like, wait, what's going on? We gotta promote, we got like all this stuff.
Right.
So please, what I would like more of, and you can send to me whatever you're doing, you know, because there are Sierra Leoneans who are interested in seeing you, cheering you on, and learning from you. Please share with
Absolutely.
me so I can share with everyone. Okay, thank you
Sure.
so much. Okay, great. Wait, okay, a few more questions. I mean comments. Asi Bangura said, "So proud of you, Jepson, Joe. Well done. So wait, can you say that? Because my aunt and my dad, this is how cool you are. My dad called me today. Send me the link this afternoon, and and then my aunt was like, and then she said, Jepson. What is that nickname that you have?
It's a nickname that I earned at age 10 for talking too much.
Oh, what
Yeah.
is? Can you pronounce it for me?
Sorry, this is the anglicized version, Jepsin Joe. The name is actually Jepe. It's a Minde word for
Okay.
talk. Yeah.
Wow.
Asia, I
Okay.
appreciate you. I see all of you guys too. Aminata,
No, this is great.
Arnold Williams, that's my buddy from Arizona.
Oh wow, look at you. You're popular. Okay. All
You
right.
know, we're representing all of them. It's not just me, it's all of them.
This
Yeah.
is great. This is great. Okay, so let me move on to the next question. So
Yeah.
how do you how I'm sorry, how do the ceremonies like pouring libation at Buns Island or Port Royal transform history into healing? You talked a bit just now about,
Yeah.
libations, but let us know what,
Well,
what's that about?
what I'm referring to there is that these acts, I mean, even so, these acts are a form of healing. When we call out our ancestors' name, we call them out loud. So when I pour libation, I talk about the Atlantic Ocean as the largest unmarked graveyard in the world.
Hmm.
The Atlantic Ocean, the largest unmarked graveyard in the world. So when we pour libation, me particularly, I always make sure I pour to those who never made it on land. And I don't know their names, but I call Mansour, I'll call Fatu, I'll call Yema, I'll call names, African names that our ancestors carried. Because I remember telling my wife that once that I speak to the dead. She thought I was going crazy. Anyone that I think I'll go crazy. But it's libation. When you pour libation, you are literally speaking to your ancestors, and your ancestors are not alive. So libation is an important part of this transformation among human beings themselves. Because even us as Sierra Leoneans, we still suffer from the garbage, if you will. There's a term, but I can't think of it right now. From the minor invasions, I don't think we've fully recovered for that.
Yeah,
It's trauma. I wanted to say trauma. There are many people within Gullah Geechee communities, just as Sierra Leone communities, that still experience this trauma. So part of that healing process, I will get in my book. We talk about an etiquette. I mean, a scavenger's toolkit, how you do these things on your own to self heal, so to speak. Yeah,
that's so amazing. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there are activities in the book to help you heal, help you transform. I call it the scavenger's toolkit.
Wow. Yeah. So as you're talking, I'm just thinking about like you said, the trauma, right? I went to visit Buns Island for the first time. I think it was like, was it like 2022? I went for a cybersecurity conference in Sierra Leone that I was supporting, and they had organized all this stuff. And it's crazy because I had never gone on my own, which is bad, right? And I think a lot of us are like that. And I remember how like emotional like I was. And I mean, I just would never forget that. It was just so powerful. And I felt something. Yes. I felt something being there. And shout out to Visit Sierra Leone. They did a really, really good job with that tour. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So
before we leave Buns Island, let me just say quickly that is the single most important historic site in Africa for the United States.
What?
I'll say it another way. Buns Island is the single most important historic site for the United States in Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So okay, you know what? Like, me. So I gotta say this. So, Ghana, they pioneered the return home and all of that. And, I think Liberia folks tried to replicate that, but I've heard other Africans say, even Sierra Leone, I think I've heard several Sierra Leoneans say, even online, like, we have like a lot more history, or we have all this like significance to, connection with the Blacks in America. We like almost like, okay, well, we're the ones, like Ghana's trying to act like they're whatever, but we're, know.
Go ahead.
No, but my thing is, like I said, but okay, but they ran an excellent marketing campaign. So why aren't we doing the same things? Because we have a lot of history, there. So
I really don't want to sound competitive, but when it comes to linking up with Gullah Geechees, I'm not saying African Americans in general, but specifically
right.
Gullah Geechees, the rice course, it's good. The Gullah Geechee story is more based on rice than anything else. So from Senegal to Liberia, rice. Nigeria, Ghana, no rice. Angola,
Okay.
no rice. In my book, in one of the books, I talk about there's this famous rebellion called the Stono Rebellion, and it has been framed as Angola, Congo type of rebellion in Charleston, South Carolina. It was the first one in 1739. But when I look at the records, number one, I see that there were more vessels leaving Rice Coast countries, Sierra Leone region, Senegambia region, than any other place. So Congo had Congo, Angola combined, Central West Africa, Central Africa was about 21%, right? Senegal alone was about almost 30%. I don't remember them off, but they're in my book. I talk about this. I said, so basically I'm framing that the Stono Rebellion was not an Angola rebellion. If anything, it was Pan-African. Added to those numbers that I mentioned in terms of the ships that have come, that had arrived rather, plantation owners did not look for people from Angola specifically. Now, not to say they will not purchase them if they come to Charleston, but they weren't looking for them. I've seen evidence of ships, at least one vessel from Nigeria being turned away because they didn't have rice-growing Africans on it. Not to say Africans from the Bight of Benin or the Bight of Biafra came to South Carolina also during those times, but they were in minimal numbers. A lot of people believe that Angolans were more dominant, but the records do not show that. And you'll see it if you look at it. I mean, once you look at the
This is so interesting. I
when
mean,
it came, yeah. And I'm just saying this not to compete, but just to be clear and history. And as far as the evidence is concerned, I mean, no other country yet compares to Sierra Leone and I mean, in terms of linking with the Gullah Geechees. Not just one story, but two of the greatest stories that show how African Americans are linked to Africans. Both of them end up in Sierra Leone as of today.
This is, oh wow. Okay, so we have some comments and I mean, seriously, I know I keep saying this, I can't hide my emotions. This is some really good stuff. So Amami said, Henry Louis Gates is on Finding Your Roots. Amadu Massally is on Reawakening Africans of Motherland in the Diaspora. Gullah's story is one of many, and sharing these stories are healing, noting affirmations. Thank you. Okay, so sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There was I'm trying to, oh gosh, sorry. I'm mistakenly hiding. Oh, well, this is cool. I just found out a feature. Oh, so it's popping up. Okay, good. So let me pop it up. I was like, I lost Leonardo's comment, but it was on the screen.
That's right, Leonardo.
Libation. So Leonardo, so you said it's so important to give honor in regard to our ancestors. I practice this on a regular basis. They are still active in our lives. Their blood still runs through us. Thank you so much. Wow. So I know that Renata said, where can we get the book? And that's something I was going to say. We need to really, you need to put it in the comments. I'm going to, post it. People need to know. Can you share a link?
Only one of the books have been published. One of the books is the Grill storytelling book. And of the three, is the least important. I don't want to say that in public, but it is what it is. The one that's
out building, there. Right? Is that what it is? It's like, okay, I'm getting. No?
It's sort of, when I tell you I work with ancestors, that's the second volume. It should have come after volume 1, but somehow I was guided to volume 2 first. That's how it came out as the first book. But Renata, I have that one on Amazon. I will put it on my. I'll put it in the chat, right? I can put it
What's
in
the
chat.
name of it again?
Gambozo's storytelling.
Okay, excellent. Thank
So
you.
that one takes us all the way from Mali again. It's the same story, but just in a short stories, poems, good for classroom settings, young children and adults.
But that's what I'm saying. It's almost like an introduction, like kind of, right?
Yeah, I think it's the best book to read first because
Right.
yeah,
That's
you
what I
want to
was
read the
getting from
trilogy.
that. Okay. Your lighting got a little dark in the back. I don't know if someone
Me,
turned
I
off
did.
the
Well, let
light.
me turn my lights on because it's getting dark right now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're good. Thank you guys. This is like really good and engaging. And like I've said several times, this is really interesting. That's good. So okay, so we're gonna move on. So your trilogy is not just history, it's architecture, it's books, events, archives, even digital storytelling. How do these connect?
Well, multimedia. In fact, I'm supposed to start reading those books into audiobooks very soon
Oh, cool.
because I guess about 40%. I don't know. There's some big market share now that audiobooks have taken over. I'm finding all
Yeah.
these things out. So, I mean, I also found out that two things I can either pay someone, a narrator, right? And
Yeah.
then, or I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
But I heard that if you do it on your own, um, it's more connecting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm watching a YouTube series about publishers and and yeah, like you have some who do it on their own and then some who hire folks. But I think yeah, I think you should do it. I think you should do it. So this is great. All right, so let's move on to the next question. So what does rerouting look like for this generation, especially for the young people who may have lost their thread? Again, this kind of goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about. So what does that mean? But can I say this though? I think more than ever, I would say in the past maybe like 4 years to now, young Africans are like the ones that are born here and this and that, they're like so connected and so proud to be Africans, especially West Africans. So yeah, go ahead and let me
Sure.
stop.
Before I go to that next question, because I think I didn't address the
Oh,
previous
sorry.
question. So let me
Okay,
just
go
say
ahead.
quickly, with regards to the books, how the books, events, and digital work are all
Mhm.
connected. So book one
Yeah.
is the foundation. That's the one that's coming out next week.
Okay.
The Gullah Geechee Saga through African eyes. It focuses on the brilliance and genius of our African ancestors and what they brought or carried. For example, rice cultivation, spiritual blueprints. Look at the sweetgrass basket today that was used as to process rice. Book two talks about how African genius adapted, resisted, and survived the ruptures of the trade. But it's through this grill telling these stories. And book three is forensic. It's a diaspora scavenger, where we go into we go beneath the ledger. I talk
Okay.
about those letters. I have sample letters that I'm going to show off in the books to see what these people were talking about. You can reconstruct the entire transatlantic slave trade with these letters. Because these
Wow.
two guys that are writing to each other, not just to them, but I mean, they're writing different letters. But these two guys were the kingpins. Richard Oswald
Oh,
um,
wow.
in England, in Britain, and his partner,
Right.
Henry Lawrence, in Charleston, was the richest of plantation owners here in America or in the colonies. So,
Wow.
education and reconnection. In 2019, we did that movie. We reconnected. Collective reunions, the ultimate proof of this connection between the book's narrative and real world assembly are these homecomings that we've had or will continue to have. Sierra Leone has had four big homecomings with the Gullah Geechees, and they were profound. Each of them has its own story to tell. Okay, I can move on to the next question now.
No, this is great. You're right. We didn't finish that. Thank you for that. So you did put the link in the comments for the
Excellent. To buy the book.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay. So again, so what does rerouting look like?
Rerouting look like
Generate.
today. What does reroute? So the essence of the Gullah Geechee saga, at least as I see it, is captured or encapsulated in the trilogy's core thesis, which is rerouted, remembered, and reassembled. So to reroute, I said earlier, it's not necessarily going back to Africa, it is going deeper. Like some of these stories I just shared with you, you've gone a bit deeper into this rerouting business. Our
Yeah.
journey is defined by transforming violence of the forced scattering that transatlantic slave brought into strategic rerouting. In 2019, we did a homecoming to Sierra Leone. I mean, we'll talk about that later, but these are the kinds of things. It was planned specifically, and we did it based on three themes: slavery or the slave trade, resistance to it, and its abolition or reassembly. So for slavery, we went to Bonds Island. We showed off how the transatlantic slave trade worked in Africa. For resistance, we went to a place in Sierra Leone called Old Yagala. Even Sierra Leoneans don't know much about that place. We sort of brought it to the world in 2019. But Old
What is
Yagala,
it?
Old Yagala, you don't even know about it. But let me tell you about it very quickly. It's a place where Africans, the Limba people of Sierra Leone specifically, moved up to this mesa from a valley. They moved up to the mesa where they can see slave invaders coming from 10 or 20 miles away, and then they will prepare themselves for, to resist. Old Yagala is the name of the place. It's a mountaintop. And what they did there, they couldn't build, it's granite, right? A mesa, granite mesa. And so sticks, you can't bury sticks in there to build homes. So what they did, they used rocks, rocks and mud. That is what they used to build the homes of. And when you go up there, you'll see the remnants of those things there. It is a treasured place that needs protection, perhaps more than Bonds Island even. But it is invaluable to Sierra Leone's history and culture. It's a place in Africa where Africans showed resistance to the slave trade. In Africa.
Because you don't hear about that.
I know. I want to tell you. The world didn't know about it until some people did, and some people kept it hush hush to themselves because for whatever reason. But when we went there, we took Gullah Geechees up on that mountain. We got, in fact, in my book we talk about that. I did a handshake with a guy called Warren Relaford from Riceboro, Georgia. He's a Gullah Geechee man, and he's related to that same Mendes song. His cousins to the Morans. We shook hands over there, and I pointed to myself like this. I said, Sierra Leone. And I pointed to him, Gullah, and we said Sierra Leone Gullah connection. I didn't know how profound that was until I started writing this book. Anyway, you see it in the book. Yeah.
I know, right? Don't tell us everything. Just tell us enough so we can get the book.
That's right. But there are fascinating stories in there and things that will change how we view Gullah Geechees. But also for Sierra Leoneans, I didn't know before I started doing this research that most of us have origins in Mali. Yeah, Mali.
I did. My great grandmother, Aisa Tatarawali, on my paternal great grandmother, she was from Bamako. So but yeah, this is great. Okay, so with the Convening of Heirs and your broader cultural work, what covenant are we being invited to?
Well, this is my talk that Griffin mentioned earlier. I have this wonderful opportunity to speak to Gullah Geechees about their land, about their education, learning, and about preservation of their legacy. You know, so it's kind of I don't want to say it's not ironic, but it has a special meaning to me, at least, in all of this, that here I am, an African guy coming to talk to my kinfolk in their, at their place. What kind of message do I want to tell? Yeah. I know the ancestors will be there for sure. They will be there. And
that's excellent. So if the ancestors could speak to you directly, which you kind of already hinted that, I don't know, you're talking to them somehow already. But
that's right, with libation.
Right, directly to the audience right now. If the African ancestors could speak directly to the audience right now, what do you think they'd say?
They'll probably smile and they'll probably say, "We told you we'd wait."
Oh,
What I mean by that, the ancestors were never really lost.
yeah.
They waited for this reassembly. That is what I really, really believe. And in 2026, we're going to take proactive measures to reassemble. I mean, we've done some of it now, but in 2026, as we celebrate the 250-year anniversary of this country, which we built on our backs, we must do something. It doesn't have to be big, but we must do something
Absolutely.
meaningful.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I feel like I said, I feel like that. I always tell people a lot of the stuff I do, and I do stuff behind the scenes that people don't see with regards to Sierra Leone and the continent. And it's like I'm driven. I know it's not me.
That's
Sometimes
right.
I'm like, it's my grandfather. I don't know what it is.
Don't worry.
My grandparents' legacy. In politics. What I don't know what it is, but there's something that drives me to give back, however, or to reconnect with Sierra Leone. Uh, so
Wait, now wait.
finally, uh-huh.
Before we get there, I want to tell you a couple more things the ancestors might say because they're
Okay.
speaking to me now, right? So they'll probably say, now that you've returned to the table, don't leave it empty.
Yes.
Okay. They may also say, we no beg seats, we bring table. This is our
Mm,
time to bring a table. And I say that
absolutely.
in the voice of Gambozo the griot. We'll
Wow.
tell the water the truth, we'll defend the land, and we guard the language. That's what the ancestors want.
Absolutely. Wow. This is great. So I I wanted to ask another question similar to that one because again I'm more like thinking about us, right?
Hmm?
Even generations um besides from mine. Like what can you tell young folks? Like what can they do like to get involved? Like what can you give any advice as to how to to keep what you're like doing going? I've already mentioned what some of my cousins are doing, but like what can they do? How can they get involved?
Yeah, it's hard, because young people, they're different in terms of, their world is different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it has to be digitally inclined, whatever we do.
But
I call
yes,
it Diaspora 2.0. But I don't
yes,
want to share it all with you here. But I can,
right.
privately I'll share it with you because I think you can play a role in Diaspora
Okay.
2.0.
No, yes, so okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and artificial intelligence. I work with the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce in Georgetown, and we
Hmm.
have been talking to some partners who may be interested in doing, uh, you know, data centers in the low country. I think
Mm,
in artificial intelligence and technology, we can leapfrog just like we can in Sierra Leone. Similarly,
mhm,
so that's where we have to get the youth. I would like to see a youth in Nigeria talking to a Gullah Geechee youth in Savannah
mm,
about what they had for dinner or what they are going to have for dinner digitally. I would like to see a Gullah Geechee person pull up that song. I didn't sing it for you. I'm tempted to sing it. But there's a 5 line song. That 5 line
mhm.
song, yeah. I would expect someone to be able to pull it up and do something fancy with it. So basically, the Gullah Geechee story must move from the archives into, well, not yeah, into digital ones, digital archives from where they are
Yeah.
now. Let's put them
Yeah.
online and get the youth involved in gamification and all that kind of. We have to meet them where they are with the
No, but
information. You know,
so to me, right, and this is what I say even with like corporate and the work situation, I think there are benefits, right? The wisdom of the old people and the technology of now, right? Because young
Mhm.
people, like, I mean, are really savvy and they can tell these stories. Like you said, we can have a broader reach. We can connect. So I think
Yeah,
that's a great way, but obviously they need to be guided, and there needs to be, obviously folks like you as part of it. But I think if anybody, they can really amplify these stories and like you said, use their all these tools, nowadays. Even me, I'm old and I'm like figuring things out. So, and these young
Yeah,
folks are it. So yeah, okay, I'll talk to you more about that. But I just
absolutely.
really,
I would
I
love
just
to.
felt drawn to ask you that because this is really, really important stuff that should be carried on. So, okay, so Baker's dozen question. So, finally, tell me about the success of the film, The Gullah Roots, which I
Golden
understand,
Root.
yeah,
Golden
it's
Root.
done extremely well.
Well, first of
So,
all, let me tell you, when we were going to Sierra Leone, I had sent a proposal to South Carolina Educational TV to ask them for a crew that we're doing this program. I showed them the program. At first, they were not too warm, but I don't know what happened. I was in Trinidad and Tobago during, I think it was either Carnival or Emancipation Day celebration. It was Emancipation Day celebration. I got a call from them. They had changed their minds. I was so excited that we were going to have this. But what I didn't know, though, because it's a local film, all right? After it was done, when we came back, the film became a national film. I mean, from a local, I don't know, people who are in the film business will understand this. From local, it became regional and then national. It was
okay.
viewed in 3 years. It was put on PBS TV stations in front of over 260 million people.
Oh my
And I don't say
goodness.
this as a means of, it's not fame, it's fulfillment to me. I see it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
260 million viewers. It tells us people are interested in this history, in these stories.
yeah.
So the journey back to Sierra Leone uh, was co-led by Gullah Geechee citizens. That was another
Oh,
big difference. So the first three, there are four of them now. The first three were done by governments, embassies, and whatnot. This fourth one that we
mhm.
did, it was just us, ordinary people. So it was,
Wow.
and that's why we called it the next step. We called it the next step homecoming because we were taking the next step with these connections. Sierra
Mhm.
Leoneans and the Gullah Geechees have known they've been in the movement for over 30 years. We know this.
Yes.
But we don't want to keep it just to ourselves, too. I mean, I would love to. We're going to Senegal and Gambia in December, by the way.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's a way we can bring the whole corridor. So Senegal, Gambia,
Mhm.
Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. That's the Rice Coast corridor, as we know it. To the Gullah Geechee corridor here, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. I think there's synergy there, especially for the younger
Yes.
generation. That's all part of Diaspora 2.0.
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay, this is great. So, thank you again so much, and thank you to the audience for the great comments and insights. Thank you so much. Do you have anything you would like to say before we leave? I know it's I know it's Sunday. I keep saying Super Bowl. I know it's Sunday and football. You're missing your
Football.
game, and folks are missing their games to show it to join us. So, any parting words for us?
Sure. What I want to talk about probably is an initiative that symbolizes what we're trying to do. So in 2019, when we went to Sierra Leone with Gullah Geechees, the largest group ever, about 50 odd of us, um, we went to a village called Robunko Mataka, and I'm saying it the local way. If you want to say it in English, you go say Robunko Mataka. But this place is
Excuse
the
me.
only place where um, Sierra Leoneans sew sweetgrass baskets. We call it chukublai. That's what Almami was saying
Oh,
earlier.
okay.
Chukublai. So
Okay.
we took a Gullah Geechee woman there, and literally they exchanged baskets in the midst of the
Yeah.
sewing. Yeah, but we didn't stop there. Um, from the Sierra Leone visit, we had the first transatlantic composite sweetgrass basket. That was the first one in the world. All right. After that, some Gullah Geechees who are part of who we know as Black Seminoles that ran away from plantations again into the Bahamas. So we
Hmm.
went there also with the same basket that they started in Sierra Leone, and Natasha sewed on. And by the way, they don't say weave. These sweetgrass baskets, they sew baskets. They don't weave them. Um, we took
Wow.
it to Bahamas and Georgia. So now we have a 4-region composite basket that speaks to Sierra Leone, origin, South Carolina, Georgia, and the Bahamas. So, like a sweetgrass basket, some of the work that we've done within Farm Boutique, we've laid out the map of people. And we're only
Yes.
talking within the United States now, but if you go to Jamaica, we have links there.
Oh,
Trinidad
yeah.
and Tobago, we have links there. Grenada, Carriacou, Dominica. So outside of what we're talking about here, I do work at another level with those guys in the
That's
Caribbean.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so I always tell the story when I go to the Caribbean and I, just maybe go to a restaurant or just talking to folks or whatever. And I'm just like, this person looks just like so and so. And I was in the Cayman Islands once, and that was the most emotional I got. Like, because I always get emotional. And I'm usually by myself when I go to the islands. I'm just exploring. And I went to this little restaurant, like a little shack, whatever, back in the wall place. And the food they served, it was just like Sierra Leonean food. And I
Yeah.
remember telling the people, I got emotional. I was like, this is crazy, because it just reminded me, like, we're literally the same people,
Especially Jamaica. In Jamaica, we have back
Oh,
and
yeah,
forth
Jamaica.
movement. Back and forth, not just one way or two way, 3 and 4
Yes.
ways back and forth.
Yes. Especially in Jamaica. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up. I just have some comments. Oh, Kiki James, my guest last week said, amazing job, my Buck Dunguia. Thank you for staying up. All the folks in Europe and in London, it's late and you guys stayed up. Like, that means so much to me, for real. Buck says, hi, Mai, long time. Thank you for this fascinating discussion. You guys, one thing I failed to say was, please share this information. Share this live to as many people as possible. I'm going to do the same thing, because this is our history. This is important. And we need to understand how we all connect. And we need to, this bridge, like, we need to build this bridge between us. We are the same people, So Amami said, do virtual libation pouring. He's funny. That's for you, Amadu.
I know.
So Renata, thank you, my Zub and brother Amadu. It was very interesting. Thank you. Okay. All right, everyone. So we're signing off. Amadu, thank you again. And I'm here. Wait, he's doing it.
People, for ancestors, Almami, Mantu, Tamba, Wipo.
Thank you. But like I said, anything you need, send it my way. I'm working with someone at the Africa Society for something for you, a big event. And we're gonna work together on that, and we'll release that once it's all set. But hopefully all of you guys can join us. So this is great. Thank you, and thank you, Leonardo. We're signing off. Good night, everyone. Have a great week. Thank you to you as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're off. We're off the screen.
We're off?
Bye.
Good job.
Okay.